Artificial intelligence has enabled advances in decoding brain activity in ways that we never before thought possible. After all, what you think, what you feel, it's all just data. Data that in large patterns can be decoded using artificial intelligence. We're not talking about implanted devices of the future. I'm talking about wearable devices that are like Fitbits for your brain. Earbuds, headphones, tiny tattoos that you can wear behind your ear. We can pick up emotional states like, are you happy or sad or angry? We can pick up and decode faces that you're seeing in your mind. Simple shapes, numbers, your PIN number to your bank account. Meta acquired this company, Control Labs, in 2019 because major tech companies are investing in helping to make these devices universally applicable as the way in which we interact with the rest of our technology. In fact, the coming future, and I mean near-term future, is these devices being the primary way in which we interact with all of the rest of our technology. Rather than a mouse or a keyboard, you can simply swipe with your mind. While we can't literally decode complex thought just yet, there's a lot that we can already decode that's quite relevant for the workplace environment. In more than 5,000 companies across the world, employees are already having their brainwave activity monitored to test for their fatigue levels. Whether it's the Beijing-Shanghai line, where train conductors are required to wear hats that have sensors that pick up their brain activity, or mining companies throughout the world, employees are already having their brain activity monitored, and it very well may be something that we want to embrace as a society. Done poorly, it could become the most oppressive technology we've ever introduced in a wide scale across society. We still have the chance to make it right.
All right, so that's just a few clips from a 30-minute event speak conference thing at the recent Davos meeting. And there's a few things on there that people might pick up on. She specifically talked about tiny tattoos. She's also specifically talked about technology not only reading brainwaves, but it's also going to be able to, AI is going to be used to collect and respond to this type of data. What do you think, Pete?
I think that they are getting very excited for something that's going to be incredibly horrifying. No. And they do that blindly because they don't take the Bible seriously. I mean, for them, it's just a book of fairy tales. If you've listened to Yuval Noah Harari, I mean, he's got any number of quotes just being exceedingly blasphemous, just beyond blasphemous. And I really see him as the false prophet of the technocratic religion. You know, like I don't know that he's going to be the real false prophet, but if he's not, then that makes the real false prophet even more
horrifying,
terrible, mortifying. Just think about how blasphemous he is, and just think, multiply that by 100. If he's not the false prophet, then this guy that's coming is going to be exceedingly mortifying. So she also mentioned numbers. It's just tiny tattoos, maybe some numbers, and she kind of just threw it out there like it was like, whatever. Yeah. But it's coming, man. And the crazy thing is that Revelation, the book of Revelation, although the book of Revelation doesn't give out technological specifics, it does list out technological capabilities. And the things that they're talking about doing, and the things that Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and all of these folks are trying to do before, say, 2030 and 2040, they have these like benchmarks, exceed the technological capabilities found in Revelation. So that should be a sign, a neon sign for us to know that the rapture is that much sooner. And so think about these three things. You've got the Methuselah Foundation and all of these different anti-aging companies coming together, raising billions of dollars to extend human life beyond 120 years. not just that you live to 150, but you live like say you're a 40-year-old at 150. I mean, you're going to be able to live vibrantly and vigorously until you're 150. You're not going to be, by the age of 90, you're not going to be hunched over and like, mealing out your days in an old folks home. You're going to be out running around and trying to rule the world as a 140-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that, right? The second thing is the off-planet exploration. We know that Elon Musk is trying to get us off-planet by 2030, and I think Jeff Bezos is as well. I think there's several of these guys that are funding these um, space colonization programs to get to the moon and get to Mars. And then you have the other aspect of this which is the robotic. We call them laws, lethal autonomous weapon systems. These are those like robotic armies that the army. We have the army. It's the internet of military things. They're trying to create basically autonomous weapon systems that can go fight battle. So instead of like soldiers storming the beach at D-Day, you've got robots coming on the beach, and crawling up and like dogs and insects and whatever else, swarming technology, and fighting that way. But we know that in the book of Revelation that the battle of the campaign of Armageddon is going to be filled with humans, many of whom riding horses and stuff. So something happens to the technology inside of the 70th week that I think God shuts that down hard.
Yeah.
And they are reduced to having to march and ride horses to battle. So I as I spoke to you before we started, I think there's probably more to these judgments that we don't know, that cripple mankind's technological capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
There's one technology though that I think is potentially, if God doesn't stop it, then there won't be any humans left. And part of that I think has to do with this mark and the ability for it to possess and change humans, change what it means to be human.
Yep.
So it's scary times. There's also exciting times. We live in the prophetic years, and it's the time we live in now is the time that the prophets and everybody for the last 2,000 years has longed to see and to understand. And now that it's happening, we're just kind of blown away that we're actually able to witness all of this. And we're blessed. Think about how blessed we are by that.
Yeah.
We're able to see things that just stumped people for millennia. Like how can the whole world see two prophets laying in the street of Jerusalem, see their bodies laying there? How can the whole world see that? And you got to think, like, Isaac Newton and some of the smartest people in history wrestled with, like, how can that be?
Mm-hmm.
We take it for granted because we're like, oh well, it's just I can just stream it on YouTube, or I can live stream it from the news channel, CNN, or some other satellite service. So it is hard times. It's dark times, and I think many of us feel isolated and alone. And thankfully, there's programs like this, like yours, and Tyler, Generation 2434, Lee Brainerd, and Tom Hughes, and the rest of these really great ministries that believers from all over the world can gather online and just encourage each other and be there for each other and lift each other up, and also keep us aware of what's coming, so that we are not caught unawares, that we're not deceived like the rest of society.
Well, see, and that's the big thing too, because Scripture specifically tells us when we see these times, we are to encourage each other, because we know that the rapture is coming, and so it's very important that we use this opportunity, to warn. But as Christians, as believers, it's something that I always say is the worse the world gets, the closer we are to going home. So when you start seeing just these horrific things start to unfold and develop, we as Christians need to take this as encouragement and go, man, our ride is almost here. We're almost out of here. We get to go home and be with the Savior. And we need to use these words to encourage. And that's always I'm not going to get into it, but my biggest argument of those who don't believe in pre-trib rapture, it's why on earth why would he tell us to encourage each other? Hey, guess what? The world's going to get a whole lot worse and you're going to experience hell on earth. Be encouraged. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So
No, No, that it doesn't. And Jack Kelly used to say, I wish people got raptured according to their eschatology. And so I've always kind of just held on to that too. Like, you want to be post-trib? Good, man. I mean, hopefully God, being a just God should let you go through it. But I want to go, I want to get out of here beforehand. I don't want to go through that. I mean,
Exactly.
people don't understand just how terrifying it's going to be inside of this 70th week. They have no idea. There's no way to hide. You're not going to be able to hide unless God hides you, and unless God preserves you and God protects you. Aside from that, you can't go underground because we have technology that can find you underground. You can't hide in the ocean because the oceans are going to be turned to blood and everything is going to be expelled from it and killed. You're not going to be able to hide in the mountains because of the satellites, and just think about the technology that we have now during the 70th week is going to be possessed, super possessed by these demonic entities that are going to take advantage of that, on
Mm-hmm.
top of like UFOs and the extraterrestrial deception that's going to be coming down simultaneous to that, as well as you know uh, just the vicious nature of the world at that time. I mean, nature's going to be turning against people. Normally docile animals, like if you were in the woods and you saw like a bear, it might turn the other way. It doesn't really want anything to do with you. That thing is just going to come charging straight at you. Wild dogs, I mean, everything is going to be feral and angry and ready to kill you, to
Survival
include
mode.
microscopic things. Yeah, yeah. So it is not a place you want to be. It's not like a Hollywood movie,
Mm-mm.
where you can kind of Rambo through it, as Tyler used to say. You're not going to be able to Rambo through this. You're not going to be able to hide. Um, and it is going to be absolutely crushing and oppressive. It'll be the worst kingdom, the most oppressive and most evil kingdom that's ever existed. So, I mean, if you think living if you think that's not going to be bad, try going to North Korea, catch a flight to China, then catch a bus ride to the North Korean border and go live in North Korea. It's going to be 1,000 times worse than that. I
Yeah, that's
mean,
gonna be a
nobody in their
birthday
right mind
party.
would do that today.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody in their right mind would do that today. What makes you think that you're going to stand a chance when it comes? So the goal for this is to get people to Jesus Christ now, so that they don't have to go through this time. And Jesus said, "I'm the way, the truth, and the life, and no man comes to the Father but through me." Uh, he means it. That
Mm-hmm.
he's it. There's no other path to God. I don't care what an AI bot says or what Oprah says or some movie star says. Jesus is the only way to salvation.